Greetings to all. I'm so thankful to the organizers of Leadership Summit at Muma College of Business of University of South Florida for inviting me to deliver keynote speech on inclusive leadership. My keynote speech topic is inclusive leadership, sustainable for long if rooted in the country's culture, ethos and values. I'm happy to throw some light on inclusive leadership and inclusivity from Indian context. India has 28 states, 9 union territories, 22 scheduled languages, total 122 major languages, more than 1300 rationalized mother tongues. More than 50 festivals are celebrated in the country. The Indian festivals form an integral part of rich heritage of the country. There are 6 main religions in India and many castes. Indian constitution recognizes religion as a fundamental right and citizens are free to follow whichever faith they choose to. India has the second largest population in the world after China, a country thriving and progressing with so many states, so many people, languages, festivals, cultures, religions, and so many castes, etc., is an indication of inclusive character of the country. From 1947, when India got independence from British rule, and till date, the minorities' percentage of population has not dropped. Rather, some of them have grown more than others. These indicate inclusive character of the country and inclusive leadership of the country. Culture and practices of any organization are primarily influenced by the culture of that country, and then only it sustains for long. If organization has a culture which is different from dominant culture of the country, there is likely to be a conflict, and such organization culture is not going to last for long. So, inclusive leadership of the organization or the company is influenced to a great extent by the inclusive character of the country. Hence, it is important to discuss and deliberate on the inclusive character of a country. If we have to see the inclusive leadership of the organization sustaining for long. In a democratic system, the governance and the leaders are expected to follow trusteeship principles of the society, that is, protecting and maintaining the culture, ethos, values, norms, and spirit of the society. Governance and leaders would need to practice inclusivity in India because for thousands of years of its existence, the Indian society, the masses, and the general public at large have been living in the spirit of inclusivity in spite of so much of diversity. Leaders and governance cannot afford to be in conflict with the spirit of inclusivity of general masses. In epic Ramayana, the leader and the Lord Rama was known to be highly inclusive in his leadership style, whether it is giving due recognition to different sections of society, nature, and planet, including animals, plants, oceans, etc., or taking food from person belonging to so-called lower section of society, or taking action based on what the general public had opinion on certain issues. Lord Rama, as a leader, provided the scope of feeling of inclusivity to different sections of society and different creations of nature, especially during war against the mighty opponent character Ravana. Lord Rama is an example of Rajarshi, that is, a royal sage who combined political statesmanship with philosophical wisdom. So, lessons of inclusive leadership is not new for India. The Indians in general have been practicing it for centuries. Another epic, Mahabharata, is a great documentation of happenings in society. In Mahabharata, we find two different groups of leaders. Pandavas were seen as inclusive leaders, and Kauravas were seen as exclusive leaders. There were conflicts connected with issues of righteousness. War ensued on the issues of righteousness, and Pandavas, who were inclusive leaders, won the war against the Kauravas, who were exclusive leaders. Eklavya and Dronacharya case in Mahabharata is an example of exclusivity by Dronacharya. In spite of Dronacharya being known as highly competent and expert in his area, the exclusive character that he displayed With a competent student eclavia does not go well with the society even today. India witnessed many political entities from 200 BC to 1200 AD. It also encompasses an era of classical Hinduism. From 1 AD till 1000 AD, India's economy is estimated to have been largest in the world, having around one third to one fourth of the world's wealth. Citizens enjoyed peaceful coexistence and inclusivity in economic, social, political, spiritual growth during that time. This wouldn't have been possible without inclusive leadership, which was influenced by rich Hindu culture, values, and ethos. India has been a peace loving country since ages, focusing on activities which are useful for mankind and for the whole world. In ancient scriptures of India, we find discussions on the topics like medicines, astronomy, economy, division of labor for ease of choosing the profession, and for governance, grammar, philosophy, spirituality, ethics, righteousness, etc. India never attacked any other nation for selfish needs, never grabbed others' land or assets, and respected other nations' sovereignty. India has been a very tolerant and accommodative society and country. This indicates thought of inclusivity, advocating for due rights for all, and the philosophy of peaceful coexistence for all on the planet. However, the strength of India, as mentioned above, has been misused by many foreign invaders in the past. After 12th century, many foreign invaders started coming to Indian subcontinent like Muslims, British, French, Portuguese, etc. They came to loot the assets of the country and slowly settle down to rule the country. Downfall of India started thereafter. One of the foreign invaders, Bakhtiar Khalji, destroyed Nalanda University in India, the center of knowledge in the world at that point of time. Bakhtiar Khalji once fell sick and couldn't be treated by his own doctors. Then, at last, he took treatment from Indian doctors. He was shocked to know that Indian scholars and teachers had more knowledge than his people. After this, he decided to destroy the roots of Ayurveda and Buddhism. Thousands of teachers, monks were burnt alive, and thousands more were beheaded. He set the Nalanda University on fire. The university and massive collection of books and manuscripts continued to burn for 3 months. And with that, not only India, but the whole world lost the precious ancient Indian knowledge in medicine and many other areas. Important point to note is that in spite of foreign invaders coming and ruling India for many centuries, especially from 12th century to 19th century, India did not lose its core values and ethos. And not only the inclusive nature of India, uh, uh, and not only that, the inclusive nature of India and inclusive leadership adopted, imbibed, influenced, and got influenced by different cultures which came to India. This is a classic example of adaptability, flexibility, tolerance, non rigidity, and inclusive nature of India, befitting the phrase in Sanskrit Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, the whole world is one family. This phrase is found in Hindu texts such as Maha Upanishad. Purana is a vast genre of Indian literature about a wide range of topics, particularly about legends and other traditional lore. Puranic literature is encyclopedic and it includes diverse topics like cosmology, kings, sages, folk tales, pilgrimages, temples, medicines, astronomy, grammar, philosophy, etc. Bhagavad Gita says that an inclusive leader sets aside his personal motives and works for public good. Today is a scenario of increasing ratio of economic inequality in many countries, including some of the developed and powerful countries, is not an indication of inclusivity in society and inclusive leadership at top. Inclusive leadership strives for betterment, excellence, high performance, and meritorious outcome from all stakeholders. Inclusive leadership is a natural outcome of a better society, which rewards merit and excellence without bias. Swami Vivekananda has said that national ideals of India are seva and tyag, that is, service and renunciation. This is expressed in ancient prayer, Loka samastha sukhino bhavantu, that is, may the entire universe enjoy peace and plenty. It's only the Rajarshi and inclusive mode of leadership which can find long lasting solutions to economic, social, and political problems that the world is facing today, and not the might is right philosophy. In relatively recent times of history of India, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose set an example of inclusive leadership when he established Rani Jhansi Regiment, an all-female combat regiment in 1943, along with all-male combat regiment under Indian National Army to overthrow British rule in colonial India. This regiment was established to accommodate the request of female volunteers who wanted to contribute for India's freedom movement. Now the question is that what are the indicators to measure inclusivity and inclusive culture in a country, in a society? Well, I am finding there are three important globally accepted standard measures and which are also indicators for inclusivity and inclusive culture of the countries. These are Corruption Perception Index, that is CPI, of Transparency International, HDI, that is Human Development Index, and Power Distance Index, that is PDI. Less corruption indicates more inclusion in the society. The Human Development Index was created with the purpose to emphasize the point that the people and their capabilities should be the ultimate criteria for assessing the development of a country and not just the economic growth alone. The Human Development Index is a summary measure of average achievement in key dimensions of human development, that is, a long and healthy life, education, that is, knowledge, and a decent standard of living, which is indicated by GNI, gross national income. Regarding power distance index, higher the spirit of democracy, less is the power distance, and more is the inclusion. Higher the PDI score, lower is the indication of inclusivity. Power distance index refers to the degree of inequality that exists and is accepted between people with and without power. A high PDI score indicates that a society accepts an unequal hierarchical distribution of power and that people understand their place in the system. High PDI suggests that it is endorsed in the society by both the followers and the leaders. This thought needs to be undone. Countries and societies can check where do they stand on above mentioned three measures and have some honest reflections. If they want, they can put in efforts to improve the scores of these measures. Those would be some of the most important actions that the societies and the countries can undertake in the interest of the members of the society and the nation. It could be a phenomenon and possibility that if a society which was enlightened, progressive, highly evolved in the past is suppressed, exploited, and discriminated for centuries by foreign invaders, that society may lose self confidence, self esteem, and is left with bruised soul for quite some time. And sometimes it may happen that some common people could have reached a stage where they look at the authority figures with awe and probably may not have courage and confidence to question the authority figures or even lose the spirit to differentiate between right and wrong. In such cases, there is need to awaken the society, re-enlighten, rekindle the society, and remind it about its potential, its past glory, values, and ethos. Such countries can regain their past glory and progress very fast if they have a rich heritage of the deep rooted culture, ethos, and values. And all these activities and processes will help the society to move towards more inclusivity and produce more inclusive leaders. So now I would conclude my talk in few bullet points. 1. Inclusive leadership will work and will be sustainable for long if the spirit of inclusiveness is rooted in the country's culture, ethos, and values. 2. It's important to understand the meaning of equality in the concept of inclusivity. Equality means to provide equal opportunities to all without discrimination so that all can get equal chance to perform and earn rewards. Equality does not mean to provide equal rewards to all irrespective of level of performance. Reward is expected to be provided based on merit and performance. However, resources for basic needs necessary for human beings should be available to all. Discussion on inclusivity and inclusive leadership will not be meaningful if people continue to stay hungry and do not have resources for very basic needs available to them. Countries and societies should put in honest efforts on priority to improve the scores on three very important globally accepted measures, which are Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International, Human Development Index, and Power Distance Index. Improved scores would automatically improve the inclusivity in society. 4. Worldwide, there is need for policy makers, decision makers, political leaders, religious leaders, spiritual leaders, etc., to put in efforts to enlighten the society to be inclusive. Tell them the importance and benefits of inclusiveness. Tell them to respect others' religion as much as they respect their own. Then only we can say that society and citizens have learned to be inclusive. And then only we can expect to have more inclusive leaders in future coming from society. 5. There is need of educationists, universities to put in efforts to provide meaningful education and enlightenment in real sense to the students of today who will be holding responsible positions tomorrow, and that will help them to be inclusive leaders as well. 6. There is need for members of different sections of society to understand their responsibilities and duties along with their rights. If we only ask for undue rights, and that too at the cost of others' rights sometimes, and ignore our duties and responsibilities for the society, for the nation, that may lead to imbalance and conflicts. As we get benefits from society, nation, and the planet, we owe to contribute, give back to the society, nation, and the planet. Otherwise, it may put undue pressure on the inclusive leaders and inclusive nature of the society. This is the responsibility of every individual, every citizen to help the inclusive leaders to perform their duties well, rather than creating trouble for the inclusive leaders and for the society. If the citizens understand their duties, responsibilities, and rights very well, if the society at large has culture of inclusivity in real sense, if there are checks and balances within different communities and sections of society to ensure fairness and justice for them and for others, it will produce more inclusive leaders. 7. There is need for people to love, respect, and recognize each other as human beings, rather than recognizing them on the basis of religions, caste, creed, regions, wealth, color, etc. We shouldn't forget that when human being first came to the planet, none of these labels were there. These were created by man later on. Mere understanding of these things may help us to move beyond the boundaries of religions, caste, creed, etc. Then only we can see such society, nations, and the planet where people can live with peace and harmony, enjoying inclusivity and producing inclusive leaders in real sense at micro levels and at macro levels. Thank you so much.